Hey guys, it's Morgan coming back to you with the weekly Shlog. Finally, I know, a lot of you guys are getting tired of the XC content, but there are a ton of people out there that are dying to know even more about this motorcycle. So sorry about that, but we will eventually get through everything and be doing way more of the normal stuff. But the Shlog is our... But if you found us because of the 23 XC300, and you're wondering what this channel is all about, this is what we're mainly about. We're doing weekly vlogs, shop vlogs, or shlogs, where we show you all kinds of cool dirt bike stuff, how to fix things, how to, tool spotlights, tech tips, all that good stuff. And so yeah, make sure you stick with us, give us a shot, and maybe consider subscribing, even if you just found us because of the new bike. So if that sounds like fun, and you want to join us for this little odyssey we call the Shlog, stick with us. Here we go. Yeah!
Somebody's gonna get high and it's gonna make me.
All right, guys, first on the lift is this 2022 KX250F. Ridden by Mr. Aiden Pritchett. He is a very fast individual, young kid, and he's been beating on this thing for the whole season, and it is getting hard to start, especially when it's cold. So I'm guessing a lot of you guys know, or at least are guessing what I think is wrong with this thing, and you're probably right. I'm thinking that it's the valves. I'm guessing that he has beat on this thing hard enough that the valves are finally tightening up. So we're going to get in there and check those valves and probably adjust them. I'm going to start by taking the seat and tank off. When we get the seat off, I'm going to take a look at his air filter like we always do, and hopefully everything's all sealed up and he hasn't done irreparable damage to the valves. I doubt it though. He takes very good care of this bike. So anyway, let's grab a 10 and get the seat off. All right, looks like Mr. Pritchett has everything installed. It's definitely dirty, but not bad. I mean, you can see it's dirtier back there, probably from... I just washed it, but then also, probably the way it sucks air, but it looks like he's got plenty of oil on there, maybe a little bit spotty, but let's take this off and take a look. Why manufacturers make this hard to do, I'll never understand. Well, unfortunately, guys, looks like there is some dust. Let's see. I'm gonna wipe my finger. That's not awesome. Now that I look at this a little closer, it's not as good as I thought. Dang it. All right, well, I'm guessing that dust that got through there is what probably got on those valves, caused them to wear the facing off, because they all come with titanium valves, right? These days, nothing comes with steel valves anymore. But they put a coating on those valves that helps hold up to banging up against the head. Anyway, so what happens is if you let dust through there, it acts like an abrasive and it chews up that coating, which then allows the valves to seat or to suck up into the head. Anyway, that's a bummer. All right, well, whatever. Let's get the tank off and get that valve cover off and take a look. All right, guys, we got the top off, valve cover off. And if you look here, you can see that cam lobe is down and that cam, anyway, they're both down pushing on the valve. So that's no good. I mean, it's not bad, it is what it is. But what we need to do is rotate those things so they're pointing up. So do that. We'll come down here and take that cover off. It's a 17 mil and set it to spin it this way. We're gonna watch until... Ooh, I'm already seeing, you guys see what I see? Probably not yet. Definitely some wear on that cam. That is not super awesome. I think it's gonna be okay for now, but to check these valves, you want the cam lobe put, up and away from the valve. So that's going to work for these intakes. So let me go grab some feeler gauges. Okay, guys, I'm going to start with 2 2000s and see if we can get it in there. I kind of have a feeling, since it's so hard to start, that's not going to happen. Yeah, cannot get a 2 in the right one. I think I'm gonna grab a little bit longer feeler gauge. All right, now I got a long one so we can slide it further in there, because I don't think I was quite getting in there. Yeah, that won't go either. So now we're gonna rotate this motor till the exhaust cams are pointing up. We'll check those. Those are more like 8 to 10. So we'll go with a, start with a 7. See if we can get a 7 in there. Nope. 7 won't go. Let's see if we can get a 6. Six is about the bottom of the spec for exhaust. No. All right, guys. All of these valves are tight. That's a bummer. Mainly because exhaust valves don't tighten up that often. Honestly, they usually hold their own. But with as much dust as it looks like went through this motor, unfortunately, they're probably all worn out. So Aiden really wants to ride with us for the turkey burn. So I'm going to see what it takes to adjust them. But I don't know. Actually, looking at these cams, I may just give him a call. Probably talk to his dad, actually. That's what I'm going to do first. See if he wants to just adjust them and get through the weekend. But yeah, this thing needs to be rebuilt, unfortunately. All right, guys. I talked to the owner, and he says just get the thing running for this weekend. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to get an estimate on full rebuild. So, I mean, he knows it's going to have to be rebuilt, so no big deal. I really do believe that riding this weekend is not actually going to cause any more damage. It might get hard to start real fast, but I think we can get him through the turkey burn, and then we'll take it apart. So, and we're gonna get him an estimate on a new cam, valve, piston, cam chain, the whole thing. And I will share that with you, what that ends up costing, just so you know.
Highland Cycles, this is Sandra.
Gotta grab this phone call. All right, guys. Welcome back to a real camera. I'm very excited. The first part of this obviously was on the GoPro. Now we're back to the, what is this, Sony Handycam, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, got a new one. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you guys for watching these videos. That helped to pay for this. So very, very appreciative. As you saw before, started removing. Now the cam chain tensioner is out of there, out of the way. Now the cam chain is nice and loose. Before you do that, you want to make sure that the cam lobes are not pushing down on the valves. If they are, when you do that, it can skip time, and not that that's the end of the world, but since you're taking it apart, you probably ought to be able to retime it anyway. But I don't like to have pressure on the valves when I'm doing that, or when I'm taking these cam covers off, because that can actually break things. If you start to take one of these off with pressure on the valve, it can actually crack things. So now we got that, we're going to take the cam cover off, and then I'm going to show you how we can hopefully keep from having to retime this. So when you're taking these off, you got to be careful. There are these little clips, which fortunately stayed in place. But that guy right there, do not want that falling down on the motor. It's not the end of the world. Since we're apart, we can get down in there and get it, but it just makes your day way longer. Now, to keep from having to retime this, we're going to take some zip tie, come down in here. I'll show you what this looks like up close here in just a second. There we go. You can see, got those zip tied. So now what we do, we just lift this intake cam up, set it like that. Can't get out of time because that's on there. Anyway, now you come down here, it's got these followers you can lift up and get the shims out. So since these are both super tight, we're just gonna be guessing at shim size until we get it close, then we can measure it. So let me grab my magnet and we'll get those things out. Fortunately, Kawasaki uses really thick shims. So that's a 8 and 9. I'm guessing that means it is a 289. So I used my calipers to measure it, came up 289. So we're gonna go down like 5 steps to a 265. As tight as those were and what I found in the airbox, it's probably gonna be that bad. Let's see if we can read this one. So that's an 892. So we know that's 289. All right, now we're just gonna set this cam back down in. And since we know we gotta fiddle with the exhaust, we're gonna pull it up and out of the way too. And these ones were not all the way tight, so I know what size these need to be. I was able to get, I went back, sorry I didn't show you guys, but I went back, I was able to get a 4,000 through, so. So it's 02, make sure it's a 202, no, 3, so that's a 30, now calipers are saying 303, but the shim says 02. So I know these need to go down 2 sizes. In shim kits, they only come in 0.05 millimeter increments, so we're gonna go down 2 sizes and set these. We're setting all of these on the loose side to help them get through the weekend. So it's a 295. All right, we're good. Now we'll take our cam, now before we take these zip ties off and all that, we're gonna put the cam cap back on. And I'm not putting these clips in yet because we may have to take this back off again. So we're just gonna set this on here. And what I like to do is I'm gonna put a bolt here and a bolt here, and that'll hold them all down tight. And we're just gonna snug them down. We're not gonna go crazy getting the torque wrench out yet because you can't just set it on here because that won't be tight enough. But if we put one in this corner and one in this corner, it'll help hold that down and we should be able to get a good reading. All right, guys, sorry for all the noise. Hopefully this mic's working good enough you guys can hear me. So now we're gonna check the intakes, see if we can get our 4,000ths in. Not on that one. All right, I think we got the left one, but not the right yet. So that sucker is worn out. All right, guys, I had to go down another 4 sizes to get that in spec. That thing was super tight. So now, got it all in spec. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna clip my zip ties off of here. I'm gonna go ahead and, let's see. So I'm gonna clip the zip ties, go ahead and put in all my bolts, torque them all down to 7 foot-pounds. Then we're gonna reinstall the cam chain tensioner, and then we're gonna check timing. After we get all that done, we're gonna check the timing. Actually, I'll probably check it before I install the cam chain tensioner, excuse me. Check our timing, make sure it's good. It should be fine. Like I said, we zip tied it to keep that from happening or for anything changing, but just to make sure, always wanna check it before we go hit a button and try to start something up. So yeah, like I said, 7 foot-pounds on all those little guys. And then we'll check it, make sure it's good. If it is all good, I'm gonna go ahead and button this thing all up, and then I'll bring you guys back in when we hit the button. All right, guys, so we got all the bolts torqued up here. These are still in place. Now to check this, These Kawasaki's are really hard. There's no way to show you on the camera, but there's a very faint line on the flywheel as it comes by. You want that lined up with these grooves. So it is, and then you're gonna come up here, and the reason you really wanna take this out, but the reason I didn't is because these guys gooped this with some, sorry. All right, so the reason I didn't take these, this cover, this gasket off, is that the guys that own this gooped this up because it was leaking really bad because he had a crash and poked that. Anyway, long story, I helped him out at one of the first races of the year to get this thing to not leak oil. And I don't want to pull it apart right now and make it leak any more oil. But you can look down here, there's a dot on this cam right here and a dot right there. You want those lined up with the head surface when this is lined up. Also, to verify that, you want to make sure that the cam lobes are pointing up and out on this machine, not all machines. Most Japanese ones are like that. You want the lobes kind of up and out equally. Again, that's not all bikes, but on this bike, that is the case. So that is all good. The zip ties worked. I'm gonna cut those things. We're gonna put the tensioner back in. And then once we get that done, and actually, here, let me show you something. On these tensioners, this little thing, this is a cam. What you wanna do is you wanna push down on that and then collapse it. So we're gonna install it like that. Then we'll take the spring, and it does have a little rod here so it can't back out all the way. We're gonna take the spring, rod, we'll slide that in. We'll take this bolt, put that in, that'll actually put the tension on there. Guys, we got everything buttoned back up, all the covers on. Made sure there's plenty of oil in it, coolant's good, everything's ready to rock. Now let's see if it starts a little easier. Now these KXs aren't the quickest starting when they're cold anyway. In general, they're kind of take a few revolutions, but yeah, let's see what happens here. Gonna bump the throttle or the button to get the fuel pump to prime. There we go. Do it one more time. All right, here we go. Fire it up quick, let's see. All right, guys, I like it. Just gonna go through, check everything again, and make sure everything is good, no leaks, anything like that, and then we'll give Aiden a call, get him back rolling for the weekend, and then we'll get him his estimate for everything. Actually, I might have that. Leandra! Do you have the estimate for that? All right, guys, so Leandra got a price together for replacing the top end, cam chain, all the gaskets, all 4 valves, and that intake cam that has that wear on it. It comes into $1613. That's us doing it, tax, the whole rig. Like I said, that's a brand new piston and rings, new cam chain, all new gaskets, new valves. Yeah, all labor, all the tax, everything like that. So it's not terrible. It does suck on a pretty new bike, but that's what happens, guys. You really got to pay attention to your air filters. Aiden, I know you were. Obviously, just could have been one day dropping the ball and riding without enough oil on or whatever. And it didn't look great. Honestly, the oil situation wasn't great on it. So anyway, button this thing back up and we'll get on to the next job. All right, guys, next job is this KTX 220. I love these motorcycles. Mr. Sheets just put a new tire on it. I really like these tires for just around here for a relatively inexpensive tire. It's the IRC IX07S. If you're just riding dirt, not a lot of rocks, and you want a relatively inexpensive tire, I think we're selling these things for like $73, which seems like a lot, but compared to everything else that's way over $100, it's a pretty good deal. So yeah, let's check out this oil, see how bad it is. Hopefully it's not bad at all. Also, is it me or do Kawasaki's have the longest drain bolts? My kid's KX100, same thing. I think the new KX 450s and stuff like this is crazy long. All right, guys, next on the lift is this 2018 250SX KTM. Sweet, sweet motorcycle. These are actually nice because still carbureted, counterbalance motor, really sweet bike. I don't know. If you could find one of these things and spend a little bit of money on it, making it into an off-road bike, you'd be pretty stoked. Yes, you would still have to kickstart it, but if you're young and healthy, that shouldn't be a problem. I'm old and fat, so that's why I like to hit buttons on things. But today we are going to be changing the water pump seal. Thing seems to be losing a little bit of coolant into the transmission, milky oil and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's get after it. 1 second. All right, guys, got the coolant drained, oil drained, and now we're going to take all these bolts off and take the inner clutch cover off so we can get in here. We're going to take the water pump cover off first. Got to unhook this hose right there. Then we'll pull that cover off and get into where the actual water pump seal and everything is. All right, so we got all the bolts out of the clutch cover. The other thing you got to do for getting this cover off is you've got to remove the power valve actuator from the power valve. Always a good time to check. Make sure everything's working. Make sure the spring is working. See, there we go. Coming back down. Everything's opening, closing just like it's supposed to. Got to get this loose because this is hooked to this cover now. Should be able to wiggle it or loose. All right, got her off. All safe and sound. This is the little gasket carrier with O-rings. We're going to clean this up really good so we can get this thing to seal really well when we put this all back together and hopefully not leak. Team Jimmy is awesome. All right, guys, got everything. Now what we're gonna do is so by the way, here's a little interesting thing. This is the power valve actuator, also the gear for the water pump. And the way this works is as it spins, see, you guys can see, yeah, see those balls down in there? They're on ramps. The ramps are in this part in the gear. As it spins, if it spins faster, those balls come up in the ramp and push this, which then raises the power valve actuator, opening the power valve. So anyway, that's how that works. Now we're just going to push this through. There we go. And we ordered the Moose Racing water pump rebuild kit, which is pretty sweet. Comes with gasket for the inner clutch cover, new seal, new bearing, and new little bearing, and a new water pump gasket. So pretty sweet deal. Forget how much these are. Highly recommend them though. They're a really nice setup. So now we're gonna pop that seal out. Honestly, you can just use a screwdriver. There we go. Bearing out. All right, now guys, the job is to do some serious cleaning. We're gonna get this thing cleaned all the way up, get everything, surfaces all clean, especially this one right here. This is the one that always leaks on people. So we get that cleaned up really good. We're gonna get our shaft clean. You can see it's got a little bit of discoloration there, so we're gonna get that nice and clean. Then we'll come back and reassemble. All right, guys, got it all nice and cleaned up. Now let's open up our kit here, take a look at what it all comes with. All right, like I said, it comes with the metal gasket. That's pretty sweet because these are nice, the metal with rubber coating. New seal, which, again, we want to make sure we install it the way it came out. Looks like this one's pretty unidirectional. So this one, the aftermarket one, looks pretty multi-directional either way, but I think we'll go like that. First thing we're going to install is this bearing, guys. So I'm going to come in here. Now, this is a tough one because this is such a small area, and like it's not, you don't want to just beat on this thing. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go get this really cold for a little bit, and I'm going to heat this up and try to drop this in so that I don't have to beat on this cover, because these covers, they're relatively tough, but they're not that tough. All right, guys, we've got her down in there. All right, guys, now we're going to install our seal. This should be able to just do by hand. Okay, so now we're going to take our gasket and we're going to put this on. And I like to get all of the dowel pins on that part of the case. There's one there too. Make sure they're all over there, and then put this on because they'll help hold this in place. So the way I like to do this is I take the actuator and I'm going to put it in first. So by putting that in first, it allows me to line up these gears. Otherwise, you're kind of like trying to get them to line up, and it's a pain. So then you gotta it's still kind of a pain, so don't get me wrong. But what you can do is you can hold this up. Actually, I'm gonna take this carrier off first, because if you let this actuator fall down like that, it's gonna try to push that out. And kind of gotta ease it all on nice and easy. There we go, and should be able to hit it like that and kind of hit. I don't know if you guys can hear that kind of dead thump. That's a good sound as it goes tight against the thing. And it's not, there's no rocking. You can push on all of it and it doesn't want to rock and roll or move anything like that. So that's just what you want. Ooh, and I noticed when he brought this in here, I'm gonna have to restart this thing. Not the whole process, but I noticed some oil leakage here. That's the check bolt, and I just checked it and it is stripped. So we're gonna fix that. So yeehaw, you guys get to join me for that one too. Like I said, I noticed some weepage there, but I thought maybe it's just from him checking it and not cleaning it and then going riding. That's not the case. So all right, let's take this. So we'll leave all that there. Let's go back over the bench. We're going to fix this hole. So guys, this is the oil check hole. I really don't like to use that hole for anything other than if someone brings me personally a bike to work on and I got to start it or whatever, and I don't know whether or not they've you know, put oil in it or not. I like to pull that and just make sure there is some oil in it. I do not use that to fill this thing up. KTM has a spec, tells you exactly how much oil to put in these things. When I just drain it and put that much in, I don't bother with that at all, ever, because inevitably this is what happens. All right, guys, while I'm waiting on those helicoils, just getting them from Napa, I also remember that we have to do new O-rings, head O-rings on this, because so the whole back up, the customer complaint was that it was losing coolant. Coolant was going away. And so the cylinder head, we actually resurfaced the cylinder head. Zach's got a machine surface and some sandpaper and machined it, and it got better. But we did not have head O-rings. He was in a hurry, he wanted to ride it. So anyway, whatever. It got better, but it is still, coolant's going somewhere. Also, he checked the oil. There's a little bit of milkiness, not very much, although when I drained the oil, it looked really pretty darn clean. So those are really the only two places that this could go, coolant can go, unless you got a crack in the cylinder or something like that, but that's not it. It runs too good. So we got O-rings now, since we basically ordered all the parts while we were waiting for the parts. He wrote it and he brought it back, so now we're taking care of everything. But I just want to show you guys how cool the SX is, especially a carbureted SX. Look at how much room there is underneath there. That is awesome. I don't even have to take the tank off to take that head off. So I don't know if you guys really want to see that, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the head off, put new O-rings in it. Hopefully those helicoils will show up. We'll get that thing fixed, get this thing fixed, and we'll move on with our lives. All right, guys, real quick. I don't know if there's any way you're gonna see this, but this O-ring is kind of flat. Let me see. Focus. There we go. Oh, see that that's flat? 1 second. There we go.
It rained like 20 times, so I put it up. And it's not looking good because all of those things online are back.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully. There we go, guys. See the difference there? This is the old one, a little bit flat. So I think that is going to help also with his problem. And now we got to find helicoils. Leander just was letting me know that they're not answering, the Napa's not answering their phone. So now I got to dig a little deeper. All right, guys, did some digging, found a helicoil, literally one. So got our tap. Now we're gonna get that sucker lined up. And these taps, obviously it's oversized so that it comes back down to 6 mil. Let's see if it'll actually tell you. This is a helicoil branded one, so it doesn't tell you what size it is, so I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure it's like some funky, weird oversize, but it says to use a 1/4 inch drill. Honestly, this is so stripped out, I don't think I'm gonna need a drill. Let me go grab a tap holder. Quick tool spotlight. These are Snap-on. I'm sure someone else makes them less money, or Matco. Anyway, whatever. Really cool tap holders. We're just gonna go in. Nice and straight. You really want to get these super, super clean. Now we got our coil, got a little installer tool. This one's I don't know who makes this thing. Anyway, it's pretty cool. It's got, like, obviously slot right there, goes over the little tang. And this part of it right here is for setting depth, but since we can see both sides, we're holding it, we don't really have to worry about that. There we go. Get her started. What we're gonna do is hopefully this thing's thick enough. Looks like it might be. That's awesome. So, because of that boss, they made it thicker there, that does not stick out on either side. That is sweet. So, this side's nice and flush. That's good. Now we'll come back here and we're going to break that tang off. And they put a little weak point on the spring or the helicoil so that that comes off. I'm just going to take this, turn it the other way. Okay. Tap it. There we go, guys. Looks good. Fresh, nice. Now I'm gonna go put this cover back on. You already saw me install the cover, so I'm not gonna show you that again. I'll install this, get everything buttoned back up, get the head back on, and then we'll fire this bike up, make sure it's not burning any coolant. All right, guys, I got everything almost all back together. One thing I forgot to mention is that when I put these covers on, I don't have the power valve spring installed because it's kind of hard to line everything up with that, like get it on there and get it to line up. Anyway, it's a pain. They always seem to fall out and whatever. So I leave that out. So when you get done with that, make sure you put it back in. Otherwise, power valve will be flopping around like crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and put that together. There we go. Got that in. Now we just got to fill it up with oil and coolant and kick it and make sure everything is good. There we go, guys. All ready to rock and roll. All sealed up, no leaks. Normal amount of smoke coming out of it. I guess I don't know for sure that it's not burning any coolant, but it fired right up and ran awfully good. So I doubt it is. I think we're all good to go. Let's see. Guys, I think that's going to be it for this week's Shlog, except for one more thing. I got to show you a little teaser for something I just received. One second. Now, you guys all know how I feel about metering rod carburetors. I'm not a huge fan. You guys think that I hate them. I don't hate them. But anyway, whatever. Not a giant fan of metering rod carbs. But I got a message a while back, it's been months ago, from a guy who asked me, he said, if a metering rod carb had a pilot circuit, would you be more interested? That has always been my biggest problem with metering rod carbs. They don't have a pilot circuit, which is why they don't come off the bottom like a normal carburetor, right? They have the benefit of being, having to have less adjustment than a normal carb. You don't have to change jets out. You need to raise and lower metering rod, but you don't have to change jets and all that stuff. Electrons, I know the new Billetron's pretty cool, but arguably Electron, I guess, in my opinion, is like the bottom level because it, you can't adjust it from the outside, so you got to take the cap off and whatever. They are fine carburetors. The new Billetron is good. Definitely a step up, more low impact, whatever. All that. I'm not going to go deep into that. Smart Carb, I like those a little bit better because they got the outside adjustment. Seem to be pretty legit. They don't have a power jet, but they still don't have a pilot jet until now. This is from China, not gonna lie. It's, let's see, where is it? There we go. Xting Fuel Systems from overseas, for sure. It's not my favorite thing, but guys, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna shoot a video right now, a separate video introducing this thing, going over all the cool parts of it. But this has got me interested, and I have a bike to put it on. So anyway, pretty psyched. Guys, that is the end of the week, the end of the Shlog. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of you. That's why this is a little bit shorter. That's why I'm shutting it down now, is because Thanksgiving is tomorrow. We're going to be taking time off. I love you guys so much. I really hope you get out and spread the gospel of two wheels, and I desperately hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!